2018 was finally the year the Monster Hunter series came into its own. Monster Hunter World for the PS4 and the Xbox One modernised the long-standing franchise and made hunting giant monsters more fun and more accessible for both newcomers and veterans alike. Enter Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate for the Nintendo Switch, a literal step back for the franchise. This 3DS up-res port left me both loving and hating almost every minute I spent exploring and battling in this open but limiting world. The Monster Hunter series is well known for its addictive and satisfying loop of battling giant monsters, looting, and then turning that loot into amazing pieces of armour and weaponry. Each battle finds you hunting gigantic beasts which rival most epic boss battles in other games. These fights can last anywhere from 20 minutes to almost an hour and take real skill, preparation and tactics to beat. These hunts can be taken with up to 3 friends online or completely solo, and if you do decide to go it alone, luckily you can take up to 2 AI controlled cat friends known as palicos to help take away some of the heat. And this is what Monster Hunter Generations gets so right. The fun and addictive loop is perfectly preserved, and finishing off a monster that you've been trying to beat for days is still as satisfying as it's ever been. Every defeat becomes a learning point for the next battle. You'll learn how specific animals behave and when it's about to hit you with a massive attack, when it's getting close to being finished off, and even where its nests are. Monster Hunter Generations absolutely nails this, and it won't be long before you start feeling like a seasoned hunter. What does bring this iteration down though is its subpar and uneven graphics. On one hand, the world is beautifully realised, the mountain ranges and waterfalls look truly amazing and really brings the world to life. But with every beautiful scene and every beautiful vista, there's flat textures, low-res armour, and what even looks like 2D wildlife just around the corner. Now, so you can see a weird little... Wow, that's a very flat looking lizard there. Wow, that looks really bad. I don't know if you can see that on the screen. Okay, that's interesting. Yes, of course. This is a port of Monster Hunter Generations on the Nintendo 3DS, so we were never going to get God of War level graphics, and I wasn't expecting that. But it seems like the developers only went halfway with updating the game's assets rather than just redoing everything. The result is an incredibly uneven visual experience, which in some cases just look completely out of place. Take this armor for example, something if you choose to wear you'll be seeing a lot of. Clearly left completely untouched from the Nintendo 3DS version, it just looks completely out of place. Some of the visual shortcomings is offset when playing in handheld mode, and I found myself playing this way much more. The game looks far better here, and you will find yourself noticing far less of the visual blights than in docked mode. Another shortcoming born out of the 3DS's lack of power was the inclusion of hundreds of load screens. Load screens. Load screens and more load screens. Monster Hunter Generations is littered with load screens. Due to the 3DS's limitations, each map had to be split up into around 10 sections, and every time you move in between these sections, you're forced into another load screen. These sections can actually act as reference to each area of the map, which is incredibly beneficial when coordinating with your team online. However, these load screens can last 2 to 5 seconds, but trust me, when you're running through 5 or 6 of them within quick succession, frustration is not too far behind. I found myself multiple times fighting right on the edge of an area, only to go over the threshold and fall into another load screen, and into the next area, only to have to go straight back to join the fight, and enter another load screen. It got quite frustrating. One thing Monster Hunter Generations doesn't fall short on though, is content. This game is absolutely huge. Monster Hunter World had 33 large monsters to fight. Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate has over 90, and it doesn't end there. At the time of writing, there was 86 DLC quests and 20 challenge quests to install. That's over 100 additional quests to download, completely for free, on top of well over 100 quests already in the game for both single player and multiplayer. Put all that together and you have yourself a game that will last you well over 100 hours or more, with more to come. If you wanted a game right now to last you for the rest of 2018, this is it. Some of the base quests can be repetitive though, so if you got bored fighting 8 Jaggi, I can't imagine you'd be too excited to find the next quest that comes after that, which is of course fighting 15 Jaggi. But I did find that the game mixed it up just enough with the fetch quest to prevent this happening too often. So the big question now though is, who is this game for? If you've been waiting to jump into the Monster Hunter franchise and you're hoping this will be your first time, you might be disappointed. I've been playing Monster Hunter games now for years, even most of the 3DS iterations, and I got confused by this game. When I started out, I found myself struggling to beat some of the very first monsters, something I've never experienced before. I did eventually beat them, but I was taking almost the full 50 minutes of the allotted time to beat them. I eventually worked out that I'd accidentally stumbled into missions that weren't meant to be played till much later, until I was much stronger. If I accidentally fell into the wrong area of the game, I'd imagine that somebody who's never played the game probably will as well. On top of that, the game doesn't really do a great job of explaining, well, anything. You're kinda left to just work it all out for yourself. Now, if Monster Hunter World was your first time in the series, this will likely equally be a shock to the system. Something as small as a whetstone, which you use to sharpen your weapon during battle, is not reusable here like it is in World. On my first fight, I ran out of the allotted 2 whetstones provided at the start of a mission, which meant halfway through the fight my blades became so dull I literally couldn't do any damage to the monster, forcing me to abandon the quest 20 minutes in. This was never explained. Of course, this was easily resolved by buying and finding more before a fight, but it was one of many, and I mean many, frustrating things I had to relearn and find out for myself. There's no getting away from it. Monster Hunter World did such a good job of bringing some of the much needed quality of life improvements that it's hard to go back. Yes, the game is significantly older than World, but it doesn't make it any easier to go back. So yes, the game is really for the veterans, the gamers who have been playing Monster Hunter World for a while, particularly through the 3DS years. I'm someone who has many fond memories of the series, and it's fun to relive the old style of Monster Hunter one last time. It's a fitting final tribute to the old style of games, which will likely and hopefully be the last. With so many improvements made in Monster Hunter World, it's difficult to believe that Capcom would go back again. Which brings me to my final verdict. As I said at the beginning of this review, I find myself equally loving and hating my time with Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate on the Nintendo Switch. On one hand, I found a frustrating mess of textures and graphics, I found complicated systems of progression which was never fully explained, and I found more load screens than angry fans at the end of Mass Effect 3. But on the other hand, I found a fun and addicting loop of slaying and looting with an unbelievable amount of monsters and quests to undertake. It's still incredibly satisfying to take down giant monsters with friends, and the diverse lineup will keep you coming back for the months to come. I even enjoyed the subtle attention to detail in the form of the HD rumble use, which you can really feel the particular roars of the monster reverberate through the controller. If you can get past the steep learning curve, you will find a deep and rewarding system that encourages you to take on just one more fight. Monster Hunter Generations gets a 7.5 out of 10, which means the game is good and just misses out on being great. I'd recommend this game to veterans of the old style of Monster Hunter games, and long-standing players will find a lot to love here, whereas if you're new to the franchise, you'd be better served playing the newer Monster Hunter World on the PS4 and Xbox One, where many improvements have been made to the series, resulting in a much more accessible yet still challenging experience. So as always, we give a morality score. This informs you of what to watch out for and if we agree with the age rating provided with the game. This simply helps you better protect yourself and the people you know if you want to avoid certain types of content. This game has been given an age rating of 12 by the UK PEGI rating board, which I have to say I completely agree with. The game is violent, but not as much as you would think. You're not going to be seeing blood and guts flying everywhere, but what you will see is a subtle red splash as you hit an enemy with your weapon, which is meant to look like blood, but as I said, it's very subtle. This is the only factor listed by PEGI and the reason for the age rating of a 12. The real moral issue to address is one that got a little bit of traction during the release of Monster Hunter World. The issue is that simply of hunting. Some people didn't like that you were seemingly hunting innocent animals and skinning them simply for parts or clothing. This is something I never really agreed with, as pretty much every quest is given a reason for why you are fighting whatever it is you're hunting. Not to mention these giant monsters are actively trying to kill you. A few clicks of the button on the quest screen gives you all the information that you need. Other than that, this game doesn't really contain anything I would consider harmful and gains a morality score of an 8 out of 10. So final scores for Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate on the Nintendo Switch. It gets a game score of 7.5 and a morality score of an 8. We hope you enjoyed this review. This is our first ever video review and we are going to have many more to come in the future. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you absolutely hated it, give us a thumbs down. But please put in the comments, what do you think about the game? Did you enjoy Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate? Let us know. Tell us if you agree with us. And make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that bell button so you'll be notified of every new video coming soon. Thanks for joining us and we will see you very, very soon.